at this juncture it is appropriate for me to move, and may it please the court, I move this honorable court to administer the oath and install the Honorable Joseph M. Cosgrove.
She's always doing this. Sharon said, make sure your tie is straight. I'm overwhelmed, to say the least, to be with so many friends, so many colleagues, with my family, my wonderful wife who puts up with me. Still haven't figured that one out. My brother, my nieces, Mary Ann and Jill. I'm just so thrilled to be with you, and I don't know what to say, and that's the first. But I'm wondering what others would say, what others from my family, what they would say, what Mom and Dad would say. I wish they were here. We lost Mom, George and I lost Mom far too long ago when she was young. We are both older than she was. She'd probably say, stand up straight, speak slowly, don't get anybody mad. What would Dad say? He was a friend to so many of you. He lived in this community until he was 87 years old, worked in the newspaper business for 69 years. Until the day he died, he wrote his last column hours before he died. He greeted you every Tuesday morning with his column. When he worked first with the Dispatch, it was called On My Mind. And when the unceremonious transfer then to his good friends at the Citizen's Voice, he named it As I Was Saying. And what would he say? He'd look at me with that Irish smile and he'd say, well, you finally found steady work. And I think of the others who had gone before us, and there's one man in particular that really stands in front of me. He's been a strong presence in my life, although I never knew him. That was my great-grandfather. He was the last to come from Ireland. He raised my dad, and in the 19th century, he was an indentured servant in Ireland. 16 years old, he was an orphan, he had a twin brother, and he was an indentured servant, which meant that he was probably paying off the debt of his father. I can't imagine what that kind of life was like. But he and his brother learned a trade. They learned to be stonecutters. And they came to America. They worked their way out of indenturehood, paid their way at 16, and came to America, came to this valley, and cut stone. His brother James became ill and died. So here was this young man all by himself. His name was Richard Cosgrove. Cosgrove. When he was here, he was told, that's not how you spell it, it's Cosgrove. He was 16 and he was illiterate. He didn't care how you spelled it. He was an American. And he began to cut stone. Our church, Monsignor Bendick, our pastor, St. John the Evangelist in Pittston, he cut the stone for that church. He built the reservoir, the Nesbitt Dam, which provides the water for this valley. And when you drive on the Schuylkill Expressway, Justice Dougherty, and you know that beautiful mural along just before the railroad bridge, that wonderful stone railroad bridge, Grandpap's fingerprints are on that. He built that as well. He did it all by himself. Well, maybe not. He may have had some help from others, from Ireland, from Germany, and from Poland, and from Italy, from all over the world. And they built this country brick by brick with their bare hands. And I think about him. Sharon had an artist residency in Ireland this summer. And I was able to spend some time with her before and after. And Richard's echo was everywhere we went. We looked for him. We saw him around corners. He was there. He was present. And I wonder, what would he say about this? His great-grandson standing here with this court, now a member of the Pennsylvania judiciary, the greatest judiciary in the country. And he would say something to me. I wish I could hear it. There's a story about him that has been passed on in our family for generations, and I heard it many, many times. And it's a story, I think, that tells me and tells us what he would say. Late 19th century, he was a young man raising a family, and he lived in Exeter. And he was given the honor of carrying the flag in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Pittston. St. Patrick's Day Parade, carrying the flag. What an honor. He looked forward to that. But as the Susquehanna River sometimes does, especially with the spring thaw, it rose, and there was no Water Street Bridge then, the metal structure that we know. It was a wooden bridge, and it was swept away with the ice flows coming from the spring thaw. And those of us who live here, we know when the Susquehanna rises, it's the meanest river on earth. How was he going to get to Pittston? It was impossible. It was done. He was finished. He would not be able to accept this great honor. He was an indentured servant at 16, an orphan. Came to this country illiterate. He managed. He borrowed a boat, a rowboat, from a friend, and he took off from West Pittston to make it to Pittston. Quarter of a mile across the river. Most of the time, it's 2 foot deep. You can walk across. Not on that March 17th. The water swept him downstream so far that he went past Port Blanchard, past where the 8th Street Bridge is now, and he finally got ashore, risked his life, and made it, and ran the whole way to Pittston. Maybe that's why my brother and I like running. It was in our blood. But he made it just in time, and they gave him the flag. Now, I heard that story, as I said, time after time. I heard it as a young child, and it didn't mean a great deal to me. As I got older, maybe in high school, I started to get a little bit interested in it. And when I was in law school, before my grandfather died, before Richard's son died, he told it once again, as though, as the Irish do, as though it were a brand new story that you're hearing for the first time. And he told me that, and I listened very patiently. It was always around St. Patrick's Day. It was like one of the family things we did. And I listened very attentively, very carefully. And, yeah, Grandpa, really, that's what happened. And I said, gee, imagine that he would risk his life to carry the Irish flag in that parade. And my grandfather grabbed me by the arm and said, no, you're wrong. You missed it. It wasn't the Irish flag. It was the American flag. He was asked to carry the American flag because that was his country. Yeah, proud of his Irish heritage, but he was an American, and he was asked to carry the flag of his country, and he would have done anything to do it. So when I ask, what would he say today? It echoes in that story. And I think really what he would say is something that in the Irish language is, Ahil dana da ladina. Loosely translated, that means, you've done good, laddie, now get to work. And so, get to work is what we're doing. The oath that I just took, that all of us in robes have taken, is an oath to continue that work that he began and all of those began, building brick by brick this great country. The church is finished, the dam has been built, the bridge over the Schuylkill River stands strong, but the ink on the Constitution is still wet. The work that we have to do is non-stop, never-ending. We have a duty to continue to thread each line of red, white, and blue in that flag, to stitch it together, to make sure that justice is always, always preserved, always protected, always advanced. These sleeves are rather big and puffy, but I promise you one thing. I will roll them up as tightly as I can, and I will get to work, because this work must be done. Thank you for the opportunity to do it. Thank you for the promise you've given me. Thank you for your support. God bless you and God bless you.